Heidi Allen, last year Conservative Newcomer of the Year, this year overall Conservative Newcomer of the Year. Bit of promotion, what's the secret?
Honestly, I don't know. I was incredibly flattered last year, but to be recognised again this year is amazing. I've just kept doing what I was doing, I suppose, which is generally being a bit of a nuisance to the government, I think.
But the other thing you obviously do is helping the ethnic minorities and disadvantaged communities in your constituency. How do you go about that when you've got all the other pressures of being an MP here in Parliament?
Well, it's interesting. I'm very fortunate. My constituency is predominantly wealthy. We're very, lots of technology in Cambridgeshire. But with that comes a real social conscience. And so I'm very much supported by my constituents. I want to hunt out those people who need help, those people who aren't on the same easy path in life as we are. So I'm supported by my great team, but my constituents as well who support me in that. But it's about priorities, isn't it? This place is really easy. You can be lobbied to within an inch of your life and pick 10 new topics any day, but it's staying focused on the things that are really important to you and not getting distracted.
And over the last maybe 5-10 years of your life, what are the changes that you have noticed in the way that ethnic minorities and disadvantaged communities are being integrated more into British society? I know there's a long way still to go, but have you perceived some real changes in that area, not just with what Patchwork's doing, but in other areas?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly still different in different parts of the country, that's for certain. But what I think has, and as you say, we're not there yet, but what has changed, I think, is the tolerance levels for just letting it be acceptable when people don't feel equal. That's changed, and more of society, I think, is wrapping around people who feel marginalised or more vulnerable and not part of mainstream society to say, come on in, you're welcome. Clearly challenging with the Brexit, the Brexit vote unleashed something a little bit unpleasant, but that part of society that rebels against that has really stepped forward and lifted their game to say that's not okay, that's not our country.
And the ability for people who might previously thought that they couldn't aim high, the ability for them to reach for the stars, has that changed?
I think it has, and there's lots of different things that have changed that, and politics probably isn't necessarily the best example, but you only have to look at TV programmes like The X Factor. Suddenly, anything is possible if you work hard enough. And what I love most about this country is the diversity and the variety and the different backgrounds. I remember when I used to work for Royal Mail, that was probably my most favourite job. I worked at Mount Pleasant, the big sorting office in London and Farringdon, and on a late shift, the Thai community, the Muslim community, the Hindu community, everybody as a team working together. And I've never experienced teamwork like it. And we were one working together. And I see that in society reflected too. And this country is just getting better and better at that.
And the extra lift that the Patchwork Foundation has given with these MP of the Year awards, do you think that more and more MPs are now stepping up to the plate even more than they might have been in the past to make a special effort to reach down to minority communities? Yeah,
I think it absolutely helps because it shines a right and proper spotlight that is part of our job. As MPs, you have to try as best you can represent everybody in not only your constituencies, but nationally. We have a role to play there as well. So any efforts to kind of push us in that direction and keep us in check and make sure that we're doing that are hugely important.
And what would you say to somebody who perhaps has got a touch of ambition in them, but they're sitting down there, perhaps in the lower echelons of society, and they're saying, I could never get there, I could never do that? What would be your advice to them?
I mean, it's very easy to say, just go for it, isn't it? But I think that the biggest piece of advice I could give is find somebody that you can talk to, a bit of a mentor, somebody that can say to you, you can do this. Because you don't always have the skills or the confidence or the contacts or the knowledge to get there. Find somebody you trust and listen and take support and have almost be wrapped around by people who can support you. So when you're having a low day, when you think you can't do it, there's somebody to G you up. Because none of us get here on our own. We do it because we have great support networks around us.
And accept that there will be failures along the way?
Yeah, that's inevitable. But, you get better and stronger by failing. If everything's easy and everything comes to you first time around, you don't learn anything. And I think people, and certainly politicians, are better for learning and for listening. So actually, it's part of the journey.
Heidi Allen, thank you very much indeed.